What's up, everybody? My name is Paul Newell. I'm a men's health and well-being consultant. I show up in this world as a black man. And at the time of this recording, this is Black History Month. And while I do applaud the posts about black influencers and celebrating black inventors and those that have had an impact on the black community, I do think it's relevant to also bring to the forefront the dark history so that we can heal and move past it. And what I speak of specifically is in the history of black men in the U.S., uh, most of the time we've been treated pretty poorly. Right? And I'm being light about this. When we think about black history, one of the things that comes across to me is starting to go into the ugly parts of the black history, like breeding and buckbreaking. And why I bring this up is because as a black man in this collective in this world now, I'm noticing the trauma, the collective trauma that can come up for me anyway when I think of modern day situations that break black men and that shape black men. So to specifically come back to the history part of it, most people fail to recognize that black people were bred in slave days. Because if there was a strong man or woman, chances are that slave owners would want to breed them so they could sell them off as property. This in itself is an indication of how black people have been treated in our collective society as property. So when we look at that, the breeding aspect, it creates a lot of trauma because if you think about a woman being forced to have sex to breed another human being that's a property for another slave owner so that the slave owner can make money. Then when you think about the child being taken away from their nurturer, from their stable space, that in itself can create a trauma. And those type of trauma, for people that are unfamiliar with epigenetics, those type of things can continue to move on, and come across in a lot of different ways. Now, thinking about the buck breaking is a lot of times, if I recall correctly from history, from what I've read, buck breaking started in the Caribbean, right? Which in the Caribbean, that's where allegedly they would take the most resistant or stubborn of slaves, right? And they would break them. So one of the ways that they would break them is that they would take a black man in the center of the community and they would ram objects up their rectum, okay? Make them feel less than, make them feel degraded, and also have the other people in the community see that, listen, if you do this, this is going to happen to you. So how does that impact? Well, again, that's a collective trauma. So that could force black men to really stay subtle, stay humble, stay docile, rather than step up, be the king, step into their sovereign. There's this risk, and I've experienced this too, and it's something that I still wrestle with, is if I step up and lead, then I'm going to get clipped, man. I'm going to get popped, or I'm going to get degraded. And if you look at what's happening in our collective society now, these are things that are still happening. Black men experiencing buck breaking through things like the prison systems, through things like the family court systems. So I invite you all, if you're gonna celebrate the Black History Month, the pleasantries alone will never heal a collective. Acting like everything is nicey nice and everything is great and hunky dory, that doesn't work. It fails to work. When we can, from my work and working with men and working as a facilitator to help people get to the root of their problems and turning their shit into sunshine, I gotta get them to the root. I gotta get them to the root of their trauma. I gotta get them to reframe it and rewire it in some way so they can live as their full authentic selves. And this goes for the black, I'm speaking specifically to black men. Let's address these traumas. Let's address these things. Let's address, and if you're an ally to black men and black people, and then, what are the ways that you're addressing what's going on in the family court system? What are the ways that you're addressing, or what are the ways that you can address what's happening in the family court system? What you can address what's happening in the prison systems. What you can address is what's happening in corporate America. What you can do is address how is this affecting education, careers for black people. So it's just something that I'm thinking. It's on my mind, and I'm putting it out here as an invitation. If you're putting out things about the wins, I invite you to look at what is the trauma, and what's one thing that you can do, or an intention that you can set to heal that. And when that gets done, and we have that critical mass that's doing it, things will shift for the good. This is Paul. I'm out. Thank you for hearing me. Thank you for giving me time. And thank you for being present with this information. It may be graphic, it may be a little intense, and it's stuff that we get to hear so we can move forward. Peace, and I'm out.